My husband Nathan and I had been trying for a baby for years, each failed attempt driving a deeper wedge between us. Our once joyful conversations had turned into a suffocating silence. That evening, as I prepared dinner, Nathan walked in, his face etched with resolve. He sat down and said words that would forever echo in my heart. "Emily, I can't do this anymore. I've met someone else, and she's pregnant with my child." I felt my knees weaken. "But Nathan, what about us? All our plans?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. "There's no us anymore, Em. I need a real family. You just can't give me that," he replied, his voice as cold as the chill seeping through the window. His words cut through me. I was not just losing my husband, but also my dream of being a mother. The nights that followed were sleepless, filled with tears and unanswered questions. I was haunted by his parting words, a cruel reminder of my supposed inadequacy. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Nathan's words, sharp as knives, were relentless. "I should have known better than to waste my years on a barren woman," he spat out during one of our meetings. Julie, his pregnant mistress, stood smirking beside him. I signed the papers, each stroke of the pen feeling like an end to a chapter I had so dearly held on to. I left my job at the library, the place where Nathan and I had first met, and moved back to my parents' house. The walls of my old bedroom, once a canvas of teenage dreams, now felt like the boundaries of my failure. The loneliness was suffocating, and the societal whispers of being childless added to my agony. But amidst this despair, a small ray of hope emerged. A routine visit to the doctor revealed a truth that would change everything. I wasn't the one with fertility issues. It had always been Nathan. This revelation brought a bittersweet sense of liberation. I wasn't the flawed one in our marriage. Armed with this truth, I began to see a path forward. It was time to rebuild, to rediscover who I was beyond Nathan's shadow. In the quietness of Maplewood, I started piecing back my life. It was a slow, often painful journey, but with each passing day, I found strength in my newfound independence. I was determined to rise from the ashes of my broken marriage, stronger and more resilient than ever. Living back in my childhood home in Maplewood felt like stepping into a time capsule, yet everything was tinted with the gray hues of my recent past. My parents, though supportive, often tiptoed around me, their eyes reflecting a mix of concern and unspoken questions. I took a job at a local cafe, a far cry from the library where every shelf whispered memories of Nathan. One crisp morning, as I served coffee to a regular customer, I realized how much I had changed. Gone was the woman who dreamt of cradling her own child, replaced by someone hardened by betrayal. Yet in that hardness, there was an emerging sense of resilience. My transformation wasn't just emotional. A few months after the divorce, I discovered something that turned my world upside down again. But this time in a different way. It turned out I wasn't infertile. The problem had always been with Nathan. The revelation was like a storm clearing the skies. All those years of self-blame, the guilt that I carried, dissolved. I was not the broken one. With this newfound clarity, a spark of anger ignited within me. Nathan had not only left me for someone else, but had also made me believe I was the reason we couldn't have a child. Fueled by this anger, I began to plot my revenge. It was not something dark or sinister, but a desire to confront Nathan and Julie with the truth, to see the realization dawn in their eyes that the fault had never been mine. The opportunity came unexpectedly. I learned through old mutual friends that Nathan and Julie, now his wife, were organizing a charity event at a local community center. It would be a public setting, a perfect stage for my unspoken play. I arrived at the event dressed inconspicuously, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. I spotted them across the room, Nathan looking dapper in his suit and Julie, radiant, holding their daughter, Lily. Taking a deep breath, I walked up to them, my steps measured and firm. "Hello, Nathan, Julie," I said, my voice steady. Their expressions shifted from surprise to disdain. "Emily, what are you doing here?" Nathan asked, a sneer forming on his lips. I looked straight into his eyes, the eyes that once promised forever. "I came to congratulate you, Nathan, on your family, but there's something you should know." "And what's that?" Julie chimed in, her voice laced with sarcasm. "The child we never had, Nathan, it wasn't because of me. I'm not the infertile one," I said, the words tasting like freedom. The color drained from Nathan's face, his confident posture faltering. Julie's eyes widened in shock, her grip on Lily tightening. "I thought you should know the truth. Goodbye, Nathan." "Goodbye, Julie," I said, turning away, leaving them in a sea of unspoken words and dawning realizations. As I walked away, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. It wasn't a dramatic showdown or a vindictive scheme, but in that moment I reclaimed my dignity and truth. I walked out of that community center not as a victim, but as a survivor, ready to write the next chapter of my life on my own terms. Months had passed since my encounter with Nathan and Julie at the charity event. That moment, liberating as it was, had stirred something in me. A need for a closure I hadn't realized I craved. Life in Maplewood carried on, my days at the cafe filled with the familiar hum of coffee machines and casual chatter, but my thoughts often drifted to that day. Then came the unexpected invitation to my niece's birthday party at the city aquarium. The aquarium, a place of wonder and serenity, soon became the stage for a confrontation I never anticipated. As I meandered through the crowds, admiring the dance of colorful fish behind glass walls, a familiar, contemptuous voice pierced through the tranquility. Well, if it isn't Emily, still wandering alone in life?" I turned to see Nathan, Julie, and a young girl, presumably their daughter, standing a few feet away. My heart raced, but this time not from fear or surprise, but from a sense of indignation. "What brings you here, Nathan?" I asked, my voice calm yet edged with defiance. "We're here for Lily's school project. Unlike some, we're a proper family," Nathan sneered, his eyes scanning my solitary figure with disdain. Julie chimed in, her voice dripping with false pity. "It must be hard, seeing what you could never have." Their words, meant to wound, only fueled my resolve. "I'm here for my niece's birthday, and for your information, I can have children. The issue was never with me." The smugness on Nathan's face faltered, replaced by an unmistakable flash of surprise. Julie's expression twisted, a mix of confusion and anger. "It's sad, really, how you cling to these lies to feel better about your lonely existence," Nathan retorted, attempting to regain his composure. Before I could reply, a small voice piped up from behind me. "Aunt Emily, who are these people?" I turned to see my niece, Anna, looking up at me with curious eyes. Her innocent interruption was like a breath of fresh air, dissipating the tension. "These are just some old acquaintances, sweetie," I replied, taking her hand. "Let's go see the dolphins, shall we?" As we walked away, I heard Julie's hushed, venomous voice. Can't even admit her own failures. Pathetic. Their words no longer had the power they once did. I had moved beyond their reach, their insults mere echoes of a past I had overcome. My focus was on the present, on the joy in Anna's eyes as we watched the graceful dolphins. That day at the aquarium, amidst the beauty of marine life, I realized that my worth wasn't defined by Nathan's perceptions or society's expectations. I was more than a chapter in someone else's story. I was the author of my own. In the weeks following the aquarium incident, I found myself reflecting on my encounters with Nathan and Julie. Their attempts to belittle me had lost their sting, but a desire for a more definitive closure lingered. I wanted them to see me not just as someone who had moved on, but as someone who had triumphed over the adversities they had thrown at me. The perfect opportunity presented itself unexpectedly. News broke out that Nathan's company was facing financial troubles. This, coupled with rumors of strife in his marriage, painted a picture of a life far from perfect. It was then I decided to attend the high school reunion, knowing Nathan and Julie would be there. It was time they saw the new me, not just heard about it. Dressed in a simple yet elegant dress, I entered the reunion with a confidence I never knew I had. The room buzzed with the chatter of old classmates, but it fell silent as Nathan and Julie entered. He looked older, the lines of stress evident on his face, while Julie clung to his arm, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. I mingled, catching up with old friends, feeling their surprised glances as they took in my transformation. Then, as I had anticipated, I found myself face to face with Nathan and Julie. "Emily, you actually came. Thought you'd be too busy with your—" "What do you do now?" Nathan sneered, his words laced with condescension. "I manage a cafe in Maplewood. It's fulfilling, more than you'd think," I replied, my voice steady. Julie laughed, a hollow sound. "A cafe manager? How quaint! We heard about your little scene at the aquarium, still trying to convince the world about your fertility?" Their words, meant to sting, fell flat. "Actually, I'm here to enjoy the reunion, not to discuss my personal life. But since you brought it up, yes, I can have children. The issue was never with me, and I'm content with my life, which is more than I can say for some." The look of shock on their faces was gratifying, but I didn't linger to savor it. I excused myself, leaving them standing amidst a crowd that had subtly turned its attention to our exchange. Later that evening, as the reunion was winding down, Nathan approached me, a hint of desperation in his eyes. "Emily, about what you said earlier." "I meant every word, Nathan. I've moved on. I suggest you do the same," I said, cutting him off. He looked at me, a mix of anger and something that resembled regret, before turning away. Julie watched from a distance, her expression unreadable. As I left the reunion, I felt a sense of finality. I had faced Nathan and Julie not as the woman they thought they had broken, but as someone who had risen above it all. My past with Nathan was now just that, the past. I was ready to embrace whatever the future held, on my terms. The months following the high school reunion were a period of profound personal growth for me. I had faced Nathan and Julie not once but twice, and each time I had emerged stronger. My cafe in Maplewood had become a haven, a place where I could pour my energy and creativity. But fate, it seemed, wasn't quite done with our intertwined stories. One afternoon, as I was arranging pastries in the display case, my phone buzzed. An unknown number flashed on the screen. Hesitantly, I answered, and was met with a voice I hadn't expected to hear again, Nathan's. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, his voice strained. "Why are you calling me, Nathan?" "I thought we made it clear at the reunion that we've moved on," I replied, my guard instantly up. "It's about Julie. She's left me, took Lily with her, and the company's gone under. I'm ruined," he confessed, his voice breaking. A part of me felt a twinge of pity, but it was quickly overshadowed by a sense of ironic justice. "I'm sorry to hear that, Nathan, but why tell me?" "I thought maybe there's still something. We had good times, remember?" His voice was a mix of desperation and hope. "Nathan, those times are long gone. You made your choices. I've made mine," I said firmly. There was a pause, a silence filled with unspoken words. "I guess I deserved this," he finally said, a note of resignation in his voice. "You should focus on rebuilding your life, Nathan. Goodbye." I ended the call, a sense of final closure washing over me. The news of Nathan's downfall spread through our small town. Some expressed sympathy, but many remembered how he had treated me, how he had left for Julie when he thought the grass was greener. Karma, it seemed, had come full circle. In the weeks that followed, I poured my heart into the cafe, creating a space of warmth and welcome for anyone who walked through its doors. My past with Nathan became just a chapter in my life, a story of resilience and renewal. As I closed the cafe one evening, I took a moment to reflect. The journey had been long and often painful, but it had led me to a place of peace and self-acceptance. Nathan's choices had led him down his path, and I had forged my own. In the end, I realized that the best revenge was living well, finding happiness in my own achievements, and leaving the past where it belonged. I had emerged not just unbroken, but stronger, ready to embrace whatever the future held.